One of the biggest vices people struggle with today is pornography. There are many reports available online that indicate that a large percentage of the population is actively watching some sort of pornographic material. These things are embedded in our books, in our music, in our movies. There's just raw pornography online, in fact. And particularly for younger people, I think it's important as they move through developmental stages to know what's right, what's destructive, and know how to avoid it. It's important to get good advice and actually implement this advice in their lives in order to have less regrets in the future. One place I love to start is the book of Proverbs. Proverbs was written by Solomon, who is said to have been one of the wisest men who ever lived on earth, and also one of the men who had so many partners, 1,000 women. That's a lot. And as important as it is for us to learn from his wisdom, it's also important to learn from his failure. So I was reading Proverbs this morning, and in chapter 27, verse 20, it says, "Death and destruction are never satisfied, and neither are the human eyes." And that was very telling to me because, first, the fact that pornography is something you have to take in from your eyes. This shows why pornography is very addictive. People just want to keep seeing more and more and more. And the fact that Solomon is relating what you take in with the eyes in an insatiable manner with death and destruction tells me that pornography is destructive and causes death. And reports from scientific reports and just behavioral studies have shown that indeed people who get addicted to some sort of pornography have poor relationships, they have low self esteem. There's just a lot of negative things that are attached with that addiction. Now, of course, most addictions have negative things attached to them. Pornography seems to be unique in the way that it affects the person's self-esteem. It also destroys relationships with other people. And these are two things that are really critical to any healthy human being. As social beings, we want to be connected with people. When a person is now addicted to something that destroys your ability to connect with people, uh, because you begin to see people maybe as objects and you begin to have fantasies that are not acceptable in society. And just the fact that it destroys intimate relationships as well, it's a no-no, a real no-no. So when I was reading this, I saw that okay, pornography is addictive because just like death and destruction, it's not satisfied. And interestingly, I moved on to Psalm 119 and verse 37. And I was really, really blessed by that passage. Let me read it for you. It says, "Turn my eyes away from worthless things, preserve my life according to your word." There's so many things to unpack from this verse as well. But the first thing I want to say is that it relates preservation of life to having control over what you see. So again, you see that death is really related to seeing worthless things. So I want to say very clearly, pornography causes death. And if anyone watching this is caught in that cycle, you need to be aware that this is you going down the path of death. So what can we do? I think the psalm already gives us one thing to do. You can pray about it. Lord, help me turn my eyes away from worthless things. It's a prayer. And of course, you might argue and say, is it God that will come and move your eyes away from worthless things? Pornography is a worthless thing. But I think that's a good starting point to actually have a heart that is willing to change and calling out for help. So, in as much as you're calling out to God for help to turn your eyes from worthless things, you could also find people to help you get some sort of professional help. Make yourself accountable to somebody. That also can rescue the person who is caught up in this vice from what will never stop destroying him. You know, remember the scripture: death and destruction are never satisfied, and so the same with the human eyes. So, prayer, seeking professional help, and accountability. And I'll say the third thing is creating an environment for life. So, the way I think about death, just like darkness, darkness is the absence of light. Death is also the absence of life in a way. And so, if you created more life opportunities, it will help to push away the death. And we know Jesus is life. Or if you didn't know, Jesus is life. So having an environment or having a state of heart where Jesus is enthroned continually will help to push away death, and the desire for addictions like pornography will die. Another thing I think will be really helpful is to just have a sense of discipline over what you watch. It's not everything you see. Remember that the eye is insatiable. It wants to keep seeing more and more. So you have to understand that there is a need for controlling what you see. You can't just see everything. There's some movies you shouldn't just see. You shouldn't just see it. There's music videos you just shouldn't see. There are books you just shouldn't see, read. Having that sense of control to curb this insatiable desire will also help in dealing with pornography. Overall, the message is that it's a very destructive vice and it's very rampant today. It's so easy to access it. It shows you also how necessary it is to have control and, in fact, just avoid it completely. Remember the scripture? It says, "Turn my eyes from worthless things, preserve my life according to your word." If you turn your eyes from worthless things like pornography, you will be preserving your life. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.